Madame Web is going to be a truly unique movie. Never before have we seen multiple spider heroes on screen together. Oh, yeah, I guess we have seen that before. Well, this is definitely the first time we've seen a group of spider-related heroes that aren't Peter Parker. Huh, guess we've seen that too. One second. Hey Sony, what exactly is this movie doing that's new? Oh, they're women now? What do you mean they saved Peter Parker before he's even born? What kind of idiot comes up with a story that dumb? Great, just what every Spider-Man fan who grew up reading comics that actually sold well instead of being cancelled after 10 issues wants to see. The people who come up with this crap watch something like the fantastic 1994 animated Spider-Man show and think to themselves, we all knew what Madame Web was gonna be based on set photos and leaks, but watching this trailer, it doesn't even feel real. One part of my brain says no way they do this to Spider-Man, but the other part of my brain that suffered through the Spider-Man 2 game and the Spider-Verse movies smacks that naive side out of his delusion and tells him to wake up and smell the pile of crap that's right under his nose.
That is one big pile of shit.
So the trailer starts off with Cassandra going to get Julia Carpenter, Anya Corazon, and Maddie Franklin from a restaurant, only to be attacked by Ezekiel Sims, who's in what looks like a dark Spider-Man suit mixed with black noir suit from The Boys. Turns out it was all just a vision of the future though. We then see her origin, how she's a paramedic whose ability gets activated during an accident. Now she sees the future, and she saves the 3 girls from Ezekiel, then explains their situation. Ezekiel apparently knew her mother, who studied, you guessed it, spiders. Ezekiel tells Cassandra he knows that these 3 girls become spider heroes, and it cuts to a bunch of action scenes showing off their god-awful suits. The rest of the trailer is just a montage of fight sequences and annoying quips.
Well, that sounds terrible.
It is terrible.
Gotta say, the fact that this trailer came out just as the Marvels begins its campaign to become the biggest superhero flop of all time is perfect. This is pretty much just the Marvels, but with vaguely defined spider powers instead of vaguely defined light powers. The trailer itself is cut together well enough, but what it shows off is just sad. This is what Spider-Man has come to, a movie about 4 characters nobody knows or cares about who reportedly save Peter Parker before he's even born.
What did you just say to me?
Yes, you heard that right. The rumor about this movie is that they'll all end up protecting Emma Roberts' character, who is reportedly playing Peter Parker's pregnant mom. Now think of all the people Spider-Man saves and all the villains he defeats. None of that would have happened without these strong girl bosses to save his life. They'll probably meet her through Cassandra's EMT partner, good old Uncle Ben Parker, who's supposedly being played by Adam Scott. Our main heroine is Cassandra, aka Madame Web. You remember her, right? She was that old lady in the wheelchair you occasionally saw during a Spider-Man game or animated show. Clearly there was a massive demand for a movie about her origin story, and Sony bravely answered the call.
Speaking of things nobody asked for.
So basically, she can see the future and spends the movie trying to save these 3 spider cheerleaders from Ezekiel. Sounds like a boring character to me, but I guess that's just because I grew up with dumb stuff like Spider-Man swinging through the city fighting villains. It's definitely going to be a lot more fun to watch a bunch of characters run away a lot. Her mom was researching spiders because, of course her mom was researching spiders. Not enough coincidence-based writing for ya? She lives in the same building as Anya, met Julia at a hospital recently, and almost ran over Maddie recently. Gotta love how these modern day writers always feel a need to convolute stories so that everything is related and connected through nonsensical coincidences and happenstance. I guess she just somehow has super strength too now, because that's the only explanation for why her arm didn't snap during this scene.
Is this a joke? Is this a joke?
Then there's the 3 spider cheerleaders. It's like someone went into this story with a grocery list of diverse boxes to fill and pilfered the comics to do it. Now obviously the comics are filled with tokenized Spider-Man ripoffs like Julia and Anya, but see, Maddie being a woman isn't diverse enough these days, so they race swapped her so they could check black woman off their to-do list. And of course, she's the funny one, whose jokes in this trailer fall flatter than Rachel Zegler. If you ever want to laugh your ass off, go look into the history these spider cheerleaders have in the comics. their arcs are just awful. They clearly didn't know what to do with them, considering they were just cheap female knockoffs of Peter Parker that nobody cared about. Their costumes, oh man, their costumes are bad. We've seen some pretty horrifying stuff recently, but this might take the cake. The designs, execution, filters, and CGI all look like they belong in a fan-made movie on YouTube. Just hilarious to think that this is what big budget superhero movies have come to. We went from peaks like Infinity War and Civil War to this crap. The plot here seems to be that they're destined to become spider people, and Ezekiel is hunting them down before they get their powers. How he then ends up hunting Peter's mom is beyond me, but I assume it's at that point they all magically get their powers at the same time to protect her. Ezekiel Sims is a weird comic book character to choose. He came in around the time they were doing the whole mystical spider totem nonsense that barely anyone ever remembers because it sucked. It seems like they're skipping past the part where he teamed up with the hero as a trick, instead having him be the villain from the start. His costume is a clear attempt at a dark Spider-Man suit, almost reminds me of Black Flash from DC. In his suit he comes off as an almost unstoppable entity that isn't quite human. Obviously Ezekiel has spider-related powers, but he's clearly not a force of nature like Black Flash. That might have actually been a cool twist, but then the strong girl bosses wouldn't have a symbol of the patriarchy to beat up.
Well, that sucks!
There's no information available about the budget, but if you look at Morbius's budget, this looks like it has a lot more CGI, so this one's gotta be at least $100 million right now. Again, it looks like crap, but so does every other superhero movie now. Somehow they spend hundreds of millions of dollars and can't make a few halfway decent action scenes. The song used in this trailer is probably the only decent thing here. It tries to set up this creepy, grounded tone for the movie, but it can only do so much with all the silliness happening on the actual screen. My guess is the closer we get to the release date, the more Spider-Man Easter eggs they'll start to include in these trailers, like formally introducing Uncle Ben or Peter's mom to the audience, or even having the villain name drop Spider-Man. They did the same thing with that BS trailer for the Marvels, where they tried to paint Dar Dar Binks as Thanos' daughter, and make it seem like that movie was related to the Avengers. Guest studios are all about female empowerment, up until it's time to sell tickets, then they throw every male hero they can at the audience.
All that matters is power and the unassailable might of money.
Now, will anyone even care about this movie? Probably not. Just like Morbius, it'll be a goofy flop. But the difference is Morbius didn't crap all over Spider-Man lore with a bunch of race and gender swapped spider people, so the audience was willing to at least laugh at Morbius. Within 7 hours of posting this trailer, the likes and dislikes were evenly matched at 43,000, and after 10 hours, there were 9,000 more dislikes than likes. That's a pretty terrible ratio for something that's supposed to excite people enough to want to spend their money. By the time this video comes out, that ratio will probably be even worse, which is pretty standard whenever these studios put out woke nonsense like this. Again, I'm just at the point of feeling apathy towards all this stuff. I got a few good laughs out of watching how dumb this movie looks, then I threw on some classic animated Spider-Man, since I'd rather watch something that was actually made for the fans instead of nonsense created to meet some quota or bottom line. Good luck to the Spider Cheerleaders though, and let's start that countdown for the Spider-Man tease in the next trailer right now.